Lightning crackled, thunder crashed. The lights went out, the door burst open, and I went for my pen. Bad weather brings out the desperate, and my sodden new client looked the part. "Name's Bob," he said, "and I'm in trouble." They're always in trouble. That's why they come to me. I'm a writer crash tester. After 17 years and 32 novels of my own, I can shake down a plot, twist a sentence like a pretzel, and slam a paragraph against a wall until it begs mercy. I take no prisoners. I brook no excuses. And now, I'm on the case of the subtle secret. Bob needed answers and needed them fast. He handed me a sheaf of papers and said, "My character's hiding something. It's big. It matters. But am I being subtle or am I being vague? Do I come clean and tell the truth right at the beginning?" So I started reading. I fell into my usual routine after coming home from school. I scoured the papers to see if there were any suspicious announcements. Nothing. Good. I love living in a small town, I said aloud. The local papers covered nearly everything, increasing the chances that we were safe. Next, I shuffled through the school paper to see if there were any warnings out. Usually an alert would go out any time a stranger was found on campus. With the paper still in hand, I left the kitchen and sat at the computer desk in the foyer. A search of my real name, Rachel Greenwich, my current name, Rachel Waters, and my mom's names, and I was done. The search results didn't bring up any connection to us. I always felt like I should look up our address to see if we could be found that way, but Mom had forbidden me to ever type it in the computer for any reason. And that scared the crap out of me. The car pulling into the carport told me she was home. I quickly exited the browser window and shuffled into my room. Mom knew I changed clothes the minute I came home. I threw my jeans to the floor and picked up some cotton shorts from a nearby pile of clean laundry. "Hey, sweetie," my mom said as she put her keys on the counter. Her hair frizzed around her headband and there were purple shadows under her eyes. "You're home early," I said innocently. My schedule shifted around a bit. "Have you gotten the mail yet?" "No, I was just about... I'll get it." My mom smiled and left through the same door she'd come in. We hardly ever used the front door. The lock always stuck, and it made a loud croaking sound when it opened, no matter how often we greased the hinges. I took the opportunity to move the papers back to the counter, arranging them neatly. The character is hiding something. Should the writer keep her secret? First off, look at an issue with newspapers and kids. We have, "I love living in a small town," I said aloud. The local papers covered nearly everything, increasing the chances that we were safe. And usually an alert would go out any time a stranger was found on campus. Both of these statements are problems, but they may not be the problems you think they are. Next, with the paper in hand, our character says, "A search of my real name and my mom's names, and I was done." So she's searching online. There's a problem with this, and we'll pick that up in a minute. And then finally, down at the bottom of this page, we have "You're home early," I said innocently. And we'll discuss that in a second. The final page is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It was a good page. It was solid. This piece of writing overall was very well done. The kid in this story needs to keep her secret, and the writer needs to help her. But why? And how? Fix number 1. Unreliable narrators can be mistaken for errors in the writer's fact-checking. Small-town papers and school papers come out on odd schedules and almost never include anything that would be useful to someone needing facts quickly. So the kid who is reading the papers thinking that she's going to find out the background information for this secret that she's hiding is not going to find them there. But the kid might think that checking the papers is a good way to find out about an individual's movements. The author, however, needs to demonstrate that what the kid believes is not what the writer believes. An example here would be to prove the kid's belief to be false through connected and contradictory events. The kid reads the paper, she says, "I'm safe," and then something happens to prove to her that no, she is not safe, and that the papers are not a reliable source of information. Fix number 2. Vague details leave the reader confused about what the character is doing. People who use computers will wonder what sort of connection the kid is looking for from a name search, because you can do a name search in a lot of different sites and get completely different results. Is the kid searching Google, just looking for where they show up on web pages? Is the kid looking for a Find Anyone site or a missing person site, or what specifically? Each different kind of internet search would serve a different purpose, and it would foreshadow a different sort of conflict. So we do need a specific here. My example, I did a quick search of our names at this missing person site, ... Fix number 3. Weird verbs and adverb tags stage direct the dialogue. They tell us rather than showing us. Wow, I said innocently. He said angrily. She said fussily. Behold, she snarled. He laughed. She hissed. He snickered. And incidentally, if you have somebody laughing a word, this doesn't work. If they hiss the word had better have an S in it. Snickering a word doesn't work. People screw these up all the time. You're best off with said, occasionally murmured, maybe once in a while yelled. But you're better off not hanging on to telling us through what the character said and how he said it, but by showing us. And here's the example. You're home early. I hid the papers behind my back and hoped my mother wouldn't guess what I'd been doing. The big one, though, the biggest fix, is the fix of the subtle secret. The writer made some small errors, but mostly got the scene right, but is considering just telling the reader what's going on. Okay, the writer did an excellent job of being subtle, of showing us rather than telling us, of putting in little bits of foreshadowing that lets us know this kid is in trouble, and this kid is hiding something, and this kid is looking out for something bad that's coming. But the writer had a crisis of confidence because he didn't trust his reader to get his foreshadowing. It was clear, it was good, but the writer thinks the reader won't get it. Okay, my example here. Write down what you want the scene to accomplish. You can do this with bullet points, you can do it with mind mapping, you can do it with clusters, you can do it with any technique you want, but know exactly what you want the scene to accomplish. Then you hit your points, and then you trust your reader. Your reader will get it. Never tell when you can show. Never waste good suspense. Never blow your character's secret. In the case of the subtle secret, you've seen an unreliable narrator versus unreliable writer crash. Showing actions that wouldn't work, but not showing them not working, makes the reader believe that the writer, rather than the character, is unreliable. A vague action crash, leaving out specific details of action that could provide useful foreshadowing. A stage direction crash, telling about dialogue with speech tags rather than showing through action. And, finally, a trust crash, failing to trust the reader to understand the action. Writer crash tests. I do them because all writers make mistakes. Working writers learn how to fix them. Learn how to crash test your own writing from me, Holly Lisle, novelist, writing teacher, writer crash tester. Go to writercrashtest.com.